All right. So here's what I did. I first opened up Quartus Prime and I loaded the um, project and double click on the schematic BDF. And I'm not sure if you can see this or not, but let me zoom in if I can. Let me zoom in. There's two clocks of the FPGA. I don't know why or what, but this one is the PL1, and looking at this controls the EGA output. This is the PL2, this controls the CGA, and that's what we want. And what I had to do is click on that, right click, choose IP parameters. I'm not worrying about any of these items on here, so I go directly to the output clocks. Now there's three being used. There's clock 0, clock 1, and clock 2. So clock 0, I changed it. Clock 1 is a little different. Clock 2 is almost identical to the same. And the key is we need to get the requested or the actual settings to hit 128 megahertz. That's how, or that's the frequency that the Commodore 128's CGA outputs at. So in order to figure out all those calculations that you and I have been going back and forth with, basically needed to figure out what x and y is for this equation. 50 times x divided by y equals 128. This will give us the 16 megahertz clock. And so essentially 16 times whatever it is equals 128. So to get these values, Tokra actually said, what I need to do is plug in 256 into the x and 100 into the y. So the clock frequencies are gathered from that. So we've got multiplication factor 256 and division factor of 100. That's where these two items are. So those are the values that I needed to change. So I first changed it. I off-clicked that and I clicked this one and I changed this value to 256, this value to 100, and that gave me 128 actual settings right here. But then I got some red error here that says cannot use this frequency, it's out of range or whatever. And when that happened, C1 turned red. So when I went to C1, the numbers were a little bit off, but I said, oh, you know what? C2 was green still. So I went into C2 and I put 256 and 100 and it gave me 128. And C2 or C1 was still red, so I'm back in the C1 and I seriously just clicked up the division factor up by 1 and it set it to 25.6, and that's when the C1 turned to green. So that worked. So then I hit finish. Told me to, hey, these are going to change. I said, yeah. I'm going to make the updates to that. Then there was the option to update the symbol blocks. I said, yeah. And then I just pretty much built or start compiling it. It takes a little bit to compile. Let me go back to my scene here. I have no idea how this is looking on the screen, but what can I say? So anyways, click compile. It takes about 3 minutes to compile. Once it's done compiling, you need to convert the programming file so that we can build out the programming file to build. And there's a conversion data that's created under the directory called output files for the project that you're working in, and that is the COF, so the open conversion data file. Let's pick that. The next thing you need to do is down here, there's SOF data, which is part of the whole building process. Now, for some reason, Quartus puts the wrong directory in here, so you have to click off of here, click remove, then click on here again and add file. And then you want to browse to those output files folder again, and you'll see there's an SOF file there. Now, the next thing you want to do, if you don't want to overwrite the JIC file, you can go in here, those little 3 dots, and you can enter in whatever you want to call it. For the build that I set, I just added a T to it. I can call it whatever the heck I want. I'll just put an O over there for now. Click save. And then you just hit, hold on here, create or generate. And then that generates the file successfully. So now that file's ready to roll, but in order to burn the FPGA, I don't know why my screens are all messed up, but let's just start up the programmer tool. Let me load it up. So there's our programmer tool. And I'm sure you know how to use this by now. But anyways, we want to click add file. A requester comes up. You have to browse to where our program was, and I have mine under D, output files. And then there's the JIC file that I built. Select it, hit OK. And then to burn it, of course, you have to make sure your FPGA is plugged into the USB blaster. I don't have mine plugged in right now. But you click that just to program it, and then click the start button. If mine were plugged in, you would see that it was the start button. Do that, and it probably takes 10 seconds. And then you're ready to roll. That's it, man. A lot of work. And that's how I captured it. All right. That's it.